Hello YouTube. Today and as of recently I've been feeling very passionate about politics in the state of our country because of one Democratic candidate, Andrew Yang.
The opposite of Donald Trump is an Asian man who likes math.
So in this video, I want to share with you guys some recent mind-altering, epiphany, psychedelic, conscious-expanding, variegated, enlightening, polychromatic, psychotomimetic, time-warping, kaleidoscopic, mind-bending developments that I've been through since I started listening to Andrew Yang. First off, I've always heard that your 20s are a decade when you begin to find yourself and discover who you are. A time where you ponder the answer to difficult questions, always asking why, and discovering profound truths about the world and yourself that irreversibly alter your perception of reality. And this video happens to be one of those specific moments for me, and hopefully for you too, even if you aren't in your 20s. You're welcome. As you may have noticed, this format is not a typical video I would make and is a bit out of my comfort zone. Sitting here in front of you with my hands held open, speaking directly to you,
my people.
But honestly, it's no different from talking and interacting with people in the real world, which I have been doing in these past weeks, talking to friends, families, and strangers about the issues Andrew Yang has brought to the forefront of his campaign, and interviews regarding automation, universal basic income, and a more durable economy he terms human-centered capitalism. I find these topics interesting and feel that more and more Americans should be talking about them. I enjoy getting other people's perspective on these issues as well as their take on Andrew Yang's solutions. It's gotten to the point where I'm constantly reevaluating my inner beliefs and adapting to different ways of understanding these issues, constantly sharpening my mind. And frankly, it's exhilarating. I first found out about Andrew Yang in early April of this year through a prediction market website that a friend had told me about. The website is called predicted.org and it is a New Zealand-based prediction market on politics. As I was hedging my bets with real money using my indomitable,
impossible to subdue or defeat in spirit,
knowledge of politics, clearly, I came across Andrew Yang in the website, who initially perked my interest because, you know, he's Native American. No, I could tell by his name that he was Asian American, which, you know, is like, tell me more. And this was the start of my adventurous journey to unveiling the man who wears no tie. I even bought and read Andrew Yang's book, The War on Normal People. It's a great read filled with a lot of interesting topics, issues, data, statistics, and above all, solutions to problems facing our country. Let me preface that not all topics raised by Andrew Yang are novel or new, but to me, and by the way he candidly explains them, he was the straw that broke the camel's back for my enlightenment. It's getting a little hot in here. So number one, knowing what's truly normal or average in a big country like America requires some work. Definitely, America is huge and diverse. To know what exactly is normal based only on your own experience would make you For me, I grew up in a relatively affluent community, went to a wealthy public school where my friends lived in lavish houses, and it seemed that everyone in my high school cohort was set up to succeed in college. But I also spent a great deal of my childhood in my parents' grocery store in the city, where I witnessed families on the streets begging for money, destitute, and wearing tattered clothing, and I'm sure college was not on the top of their priority. So what exactly is the normal American? According to Andrew Yang's book, with the help of several US Census Bureau statistics looking into median income, assets, and education based on race, gender, age, and education, the normal American did not graduate from college and doesn't have an associate's degree. He or she perhaps attended college for 1 year or graduated from high school. She or he has a net worth of approximately $36,000, about $6,000 excluding home and vehicle equity, and lives paycheck to paycheck. She or he has less than $500 in flexible savings and minimal assets invested in the stock market. This means 50% of the people are either below or above this description. For me and some people watching this video, this may not describe you. In fact, I'm sure most of us live around people like ourselves, So what feels normal to each of us is based on our context. That is why when we talk about improving the livelihood of people in this country, we need to look beyond ourselves and focus on the normal American and how we can improve the conditions that define the norm. Number 2.
And so what I would ask the American people is to think bigger about the changes we can make collectively, and that stop thinking that if you take some personal action, it's going to solve things, because the reality is we need to bring the entire world together.
Yes! 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 For the longest time in my life, I have always wanted to make good decisions that would benefit the environment and our people. I would try my best to pick up litter, recycle, and use reusable bags. I would try earnestly to help people in need and people begging on the streets by spending time with them, giving them food, money, and water. But in both cases, there was always a feeling of hopelessness and futility of any meaningful progress occurring because of my individual actions. And I always knew, in the grand scheme of things, that I was just one person out of billions on this planet. That is why I cannot agree enough with Andrew Yang when he says we need to think bigger about the changes we make collectively. Because when everyone is doing it, we encourage each other and the results are amplified. And that is the only way to achieve meaningful and significant results. Number 3, scarcity will not save us. Abundance will. In this quote, Andrew Yang is referring to a mindset of scarcity and a mindset of abundance. A mindset of scarcity is a belief that there is never enough. And because of that, your actions or decisions stem from a place of lack. For example, consider a situation where you are the CEO of your company and you need to make a decision for how to improve the company. But imagine your mind is also subjected to a plethora of ongoing challenges and obstacles, such as your jet being out of fuel, your stock investments are falling, your Tesla battery is dying, and the love of your life is leaving you. Now, first off, I would probably drop everything to get the love of my life back. But I'm sure, as you can tell from this scenario, thinking about all of these things will eat away at your mental bandwidth. And so your ability to focus and make a good decision for the company will be limited. Now contrast this to a mindset of abundance. Instead, we focus on what we do have, so we are able to see possibilities rather than limits. I'm sure you guys can relate to this mindset to some degree, where it seems like money and opportunities come to you and good things happen to you seemingly for no reason. As a CEO in the same position but with a mindset of abundance, thoughts like, my friend just gave me 2 jets for free, my stock investments are increasing, my Model 3 just got upgraded to a Model X, and the love of my life has returned. In this case, your mind is absent from lack or worry. Your mental bandwidth is freed up so that you can concentrate and be more creative and rational about how to make good decisions that will improve your company. Andrew Yang also cites a series of studies conducted by Sendil Mullainathan, a Harvard economist, and Eldar Shaffer, a Princeton psychologist, studying the effects of various forms of scarcity on the poor. The poor people and the well-off people perform very similarly on tests of fluid intelligence, which is a generalized measurement that corresponds with IQ. However, when both groups are forced to consider how to pay an unexpected car repair bill of $3,000, the poor group underperforms by the equivalent of 13 IQ points, which could be the difference between being superior and average or average to borderline deficient. Not trying to say anything, but if I can improve my IQ by having my head financially above water so that I'm more resilient to unexpected car repair bills, then send me location. I'm sure if we both had to pick either a mindset of scarcity or a mindset of abundance, we would immediately flock to a mindset of abundance. And this is another reason why I like Andrew Yang. Not just because he's increasing my mental power level, or his freedom dividend, which I will get to later, but because he understands the significance of a healthy mindset. He wants to improve the mental health of this nation through his policies and have people think with abundance, not with scarcity. Number 4.
What we have to do is we have to say, look, there's record high GDP and stock market prices. You know what else are at record highs? Suicides, drug overdoses, depression, anxiety. It's gotten so bad that American life expectancy has declined for the last 3 years.
So let's get something straight. GDP is the entire market value of all goods and services a country produces in a certain time, such as housing, clothing, and government salaries to employees. Andrew Yang is right. the GDP has been increasing to record highs with an approximate value of $21.4 trillion in the second quarter of 2019. Doing some research into the country's life expectancy, I find it has indeed declined for the past 3 years, the second time in 3 years since 1915 to 1918, which was during the midst of World War I and the Spanish flu pandemic. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reports that the expectancy was 78.9 years in 2014, declined to 78.7 years in 2015, remained unchanged between 2015 and 2016, and then decreased again between 2016 and 2017 to the current 78.6 years, whereby the death rates rose significantly in 3 age groups during this period: those 25 to 34, 34 to 44, and 85 and older. The drivers for this decline have been primarily attributed to drug overdosing and suicides. Drug overdose death rates increased across all age groups, with the highest rate occurring in adults ages 35 to 44, translating to 39 people per every 100,000, and the lowest in adults 65 and older, translating to 6.9 per 100,000. A sharp increase in drug overdose death involved synthetic opioids in contrast to methadone between 2016 and 2017. Suicide rates for both male and females in the age groups 10 to 14, 15 to 24, 25 to 44, 45 to 64, and 65 to 74 were significantly higher in 2017 than in 1999. But they were significantly lower in adults 75 and older. These opposite trends between GDP and life expectancy are concerning. The economic output in this country has been increasing while our life expectancy has been declining for the past 3 years, whereby the death rates of suicides and drug overdoses particularly have increased markedly compared to rates of other causes of death, such as heart disease, cancer, and strokes. And what's so alarming are that these drug overdoses and suicides are preventable deaths. My reaction cannot be better expressed by the following 2 quotes. The first is by CDC Director and Medical Doctor Robert Redfield. Life expectancy gives us a snapshot of the nation's overall health, and these sobering statistics are a wake-up call that we are losing too many Americans, too early and too often, to conditions that are preventable. The second quote is by medical doctor Jennifer Frost. It is shocking that the United States, with its vast resources, continues to see increases in preventable deaths. So, circling back to me, there is a lot of information and many correlations that can be drawn from this data to explain the cause of these trends. But I do not want to get too deep into the weeds explaining why, and would like to end on one note. As a member of the workforce and a contributor to the economic output generated in this country, I cannot help but feel that in all of my jobs there has been this constant and involuntary pressure in the back of my head to be more efficient at work, even if that means sacrificing quality time with friends, coworkers, and family that brings me happiness. And so I feel that the way we are currently chasing after GDP as a nation may not be the best indicator for the well-being of this country. It is reassuring to hear Andrew Yang raise awareness on this topic and be a step ahead by proposing an American scorecard alternative which incorporates various things like environment quality, quality of life, and health-adjusted life expectancy. Number 5.
Immigrants are being scapegoated for issues they have nothing to do with in our economy.
When I was growing up, I always heard things like immigrants are stealing our jobs from the media and people living around me. And for a long time, I couldn't help but feel a little unsafe and at unease, thinking that my parents, whom had immigrated to the US despite being American citizens, were the source of frustration for Americans whose jobs were being replaced by immigrants. As I say this even now, it is ridiculous and outrageous for me to have even ever felt that way. This is just the way the market works. The goal of the economy is to increase productivity by lowering costs, which result in companies hiring cheaper workers, which result in lower labor costs. Immigrants or workers are not infused with some type of dark desire to steal someone else's job, and are just cogs in the wheel of the economy. So you just have to ask yourself, if you owned a company where you were faced with the decision to hire cheaper labor in order to prevent going bankrupt and stay competitive, would you do it? Or would you not and fall backwards as you watch your competitors hire cheaper labor and accelerate forward? Alright guys, so I was not expecting this video to be longer than 15 minutes, so rather than making one large video, I decided to make 2 smaller ones. So definitely check out the second one, because it gets to my last talking point, and it gets to the crux of Andrew Yang's campaign, which is his freedom dividend or universal basic income, and how he plans to pay for it with a value-added tax. So again, if you like this video, definitely check out the second one. Like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.